SHOT Show used to feel like Christmas. Now, half the time it feels like walking through a mall where every gun has a marketing team, but only a few have any business riding on your hip or in your truck. Slide cuts, new Cerakote colors, limited editions, and then nothing ever ships. So this year, I did it differently. In this video, I'm walking you through 11 confirmed new guns for SHOT Show 2026 pistols, revolvers, lever guns, bolt rifles, rimfire trainers, a PDW-style chassis, and even a compact 12-gauge that are actually built for real people concealed carriers, new shooters, home defense folks, and anyone who doesn't want to waste money on hype. By the time we're done, you'll know what each one is for, where it shines, where it falls short, and which guns are worth your dollars so you don't end up with a safe full of regret. All right, let's dive into the guns, because this SHOT Show lineup actually has hardware that matters, not just slide cuts and new paint. First up is the S&W 1854 Stealth Hunter, and here's why it grabbed my attention. Most lever guns are vibe pieces. This one feels like a tool. A 16-20-inch threaded barrel, stainless receiver, and an extended pick rail with MLOK up front mean you can throw on a low-power optic, a white light, maybe a can, and go straight to work. In pistol calibers, you're sitting around 8+1. In 30-30 or 45-70, you get 5+1, and the whole package rides in the high 6, low 7-pound range. It's still a rifleman's rifle with that big loop and ghost ring sights, just one that doesn't freak out when you drag it through mud and night shifts. If a tactical lever actually belongs in a truck, this is the kind of setup I'm talking about. It's the classic 110 action with an AccuTrigger dropped into a Magpul Hunter stock with an aluminum bedding block. So the thing actually fits your body instead of you suffering around it. The Scout-style versions run a 16.5-inch threaded barrel and AICS pattern 10-round mags in 308 or 6.5 Creedmoor, weighing in around 8 pounds. That's not mountain feather light, but it's perfect for a class, a pasture, or the back of a UTV. On the range, you feel that extra weight in a good way you can spot your own hits. Stay on the glass, and push quick follow-ups without wrestling recoil. If the 1854 is the fast brush gun, the 110 Magpul is the practical I might have to reach across the field rifle, for the folks who still love walnut and blue but want modern brains. The CZ600 American quietly checks a ton of boxes. At a glance, it's every classic deer rifle you saw in camp growing up. Under the hood, you've got a cold hammer forged barrel in the 18-24-inch range, depending on caliber, threaded at the muzzle so you're not stuck in the 1970s. CZ guarantees sub-MOA 3-shot groups at 100 yards with good ammo, and the adjustable single-stage trigger feels more like a precision rig than a good-enough deer gun. The detachable double-stack magazine can be run like a fixed internal mag if you want, or dropped for faster reloads. The receiver is set up for Remington 700 pattern mounts, so your optic options are wide open. Chamberings run from 223 all the way to 300 Win Mag, with weight again in that high 7, low 8-pound zone. Compared to the 110 Magpul, this one is more dress clothes, but the accuracy guarantee and trigger make it a serious all-rounder. Not a safe queen. If you want one rifle to handle most North American hunting, this sits squarely in that conversation. Of course, burning centerfire ammo for every rep adds up fast, and that's where Savage circles back with the RXR-22. This is the little rifle that makes my wallet relax. It's a semi-auto blowback 22 LR with a polymer receiver and an integrated pick rail, a 16.5-inch threaded barrel, and a 10-round rotary mag with last round bolt hold open. The slick part is compatibility with a lot of Ruger 10-20 seconds pattern parts, so you're not stuck in a weird ecosystem. At a bit over 4.5 pounds and about 35 inches overall, it's easy for kids to handle, but still big enough for adults to run real drills. This is the rifle you drag to the range for positional work, hand to new shooters, and screw a can on for backyard practice. If you pair it with a centerfire bolt, like the 110 or the CZ, you suddenly have a cheap way to grind fundamentals all year. On the pistol side, the Rite RXP-22 tries to solve the same problem. Give you a rimfire that actually feels like your carry gun. Instead of a toy-like frame, you get a hammer-fired 22 built around a 7,075 aluminum internal chassis with a polymer grip, roughly a 4-inch barrel, and a slide cut for RMR and RMSC dots. Many versions are threaded 1/2x28, so again, this thing is begging for a suppressor, with 10 and 13 round mags and weight in the low 20-ounce range. It sits closer to a compact 9mm than a featherweight plinker. Fiber optic front and adjustable rear sights on a lot of models let you actually zero it. If you already run a dot-equipped 9mm, this is a cheap way to practice draws transitions and trigger control without watching your ammo budget cry. It's still a newer entry, so I'd want to test mags and reliability. But on paper, it's a solid little trainer. Now, when you graduate back to serious carry, Smith & Wesson's M&P Shield X is one of the more interesting Micro 9S in this list. The problem it's trying to fix is simple, tiny guns that are miserable to shoot versus bigger guns that print like a brick. The Shield X lands in the middle with a barrel in that 3.1 to 3.6 inch range, an overall length just under 7 inches, and a width under an inch. The magic numbers are 13+1 flush and 15+1 with an extended mag, at roughly 20-21 ounces unloaded. Stainless slide and barrel with armonite, aggressive texture, undercut trigger guard, short rail for a light, and their clear sight optic cut that vents gas away from the dot. Compared to the RXP-22, this is the gun that actually lives on your belt. But the ergonomics aren't that far apart, which is exactly what you want in a training pair. If you're the type who wants more than good enough out of a carry pistol, Staccato's HDC-3, 6 is probably already on your radar. Think of it as the 2011 that finally committed to being an everyday gun. You're looking at a 3.6-inch bull barrel in a billet aluminum frame with a polymer grip, around 7 inches long and under 5 inches tall, with unloaded weight in the mid-20-ounce range. It's optics ready with their host pattern, rides on a flat wire recoil system tuned to the shorter slide, and delivers that crisp 4 to 4.5 pound single-action trigger people by 2011 S4 in the first place. Capacity is 15+1 using Glock-patterned steel mags, which is a nice logistics move. Compared to the Shield X, this is way more expensive and a little less forgiving to sloppy shooting. But when you do your part, it rewards you with speed and accuracy that feel closer to a duty gun than a micro. On the more modular side of things, the Taurus GX4 Strike Bravo turns a Micro 9 into a mini PDW. Underneath the chassis, it's still a GX4, roughly a 3.7-inch threaded barrel, compact slide, 10 or 15 round mags. Wrapped around that, Strike Industries and Taurus add a full-length pick rail, extended frame, reversible charging handle, and the option for the FSA brace. Folded out, you're at about 18.5 inches overall, stripped back to pistol mode. You're under 10. That means you can shoulder it like a little carbine when you're working out of a bag or a truck, or treat it like a chunky pistol if space is tight. Optics-ready slide. Threaded muzzle and rail space for lights and lasers make it extremely configurable. You do need to pay attention to brace rules where you live, but conceptually, it fills that I want more stability than a handgun without buying a full PCC niche very well. Not everybody is ready to give up the wheel gun, though, and Taurus knows it. The 66 Combat is aimed squarely at people who still sleep best with a revolver on the nightstand, but want modern features: medium frame stainless steel, 3-inch barrel, and a 7-shot 357 Magnum cylinder mean you're getting one more round than the classic 6-gun. It's double action only with a combat-tuned pull, so you run it decisively instead of staging every shot. Up top, the frame is drilled and tapped for Taurus Toro optic plates, and you get a fiber optic front with a square rear notch to keep things fast. At roughly 36.5 ounces, it's not a pocket piece, but that weight soaks up Magnum recoil nicely, and with 38+P, it's downright manageable. Coming off the Shield X or Staccato, you're trading raw capacity for simplicity, and that I can tell what's loaded by feel factor, that revolver people love. When the conversation shifts to close quarters power, it's hard not to bring up 12-gauge. And Kel-Tec's KS7 Gen 2 is one of the more interesting ways to package it. This is a bullpup pump with an 18.5-inch barrel and an overall length just over 26 inches, so it's shorter than a lot of AR pistols while still giving you a full-length tube. You get 6+1 with 3-inch shells or 7+1 with 2 3/4, all fed from a single underbarrel magazine. The downward ejection kick spent hulls out the bottom, which is great if you're left-handed or switching shoulders around cover. At around 6. 8 pounds. It's light enough to carry all day, but that does mean you'll feel full power loads in the shoulder. Gen 2 brings beefed up internals and a cleaner fit and finish, plus a molded rail section where you can mount a vertical grip or light. If your home or truck doesn't give you a lot of room to swing a full-length shotgun, this little bullpup starts to make a lot of sense. Finally, we've got the Springfield Armory Echelon 4.0C Compi, which is basically a compact echelon that went to recoil management camp. You get a 4-inch hammer-forged barrel with ports near the muzzle and matching windows in the slide so gas can vent up and help keep the nose flat. Under the skin is Springfield's Central Operating Group chassis, so the serialized heart of the gun lives in a steel core, and the polymer grip module can be swapped as they grow the line. Capacity lines up with the rest of the modern crop 15+1 with the flush mag, 18+1 with the extended, and weight in the mid-20-ounce range with an overall length around 7.25 inches. Their variable interface system on the slide lets you direct mount a bunch of popular microdots without weird adapter plates. On the timer, you should see that comp show up as tighter splits and less dip returning to target, especially with hotter 115 and 124 grain loads. If you like the idea of a carry-sized gun that behaves more like a flat-shooting duty pistol, this is one to keep on your SHOT Show list. Alright, that's the lineup. You don't need all 11 of these, you just need the one that actually fits your life. Drop a comment with the gun you'd spend your own money on, hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you at the range. Or maybe in the aisles at SHOT Show. Stay safe out there, train smart, shoot straight.